The quantum harvester loomed against the backdrop of stars, its crystalline arrays stretching out like frozen lightning in space. Dr. Sarah Chen watched through the observation deck of Research Station Helios as the machine did its work, converting vacuum energy into usable power. The sight still took her breath away, even after 3 years of overseeing the project. "Beautiful, isn't it?" she murmured to no one in particular. The harvester's crystal lattices pulsed with a deep purple glow as they tore microscopic holes in spacetime, gathering energy from the quantum foam itself. The soft chime of an incoming priority message broke her reverie. Sarah turned to her console, expecting another routine update from Earth's Energy Commission. Instead, she found herself staring at a message marked critical from HFY headquarters. Her blood ran cold as she read the transmission. After decades of searching for alien life, humanity's first contact wasn't coming from a distant radio signal or a probe. It was coming from right outside the solar system. And they weren't here to say hello. The message was brief but clear. CEACUUANTUM Harvesting Operations, INMADIAELY. Your activities are visibly across 50 light years and drawing unbelievable into grave danger. Sarah's fingers flew across the console as she pulled up the harvester's sensor blocks. There, almost invisible against the background radiation, were the signatures of at least 7 artificial objects decelerating into the outer solar system. First contact was about to happen, and humanity's most ambitious energy project had apparently triggered it. "Dr. Chen," her assistant's voice crackled over the intercom. "We're picking up some unusual readings from the harvester. The quantum field is responding to something." Before Sarah could reply, space itself seemed to shiver. The harvester's purple glow intensified, its crystals resonating with some unseen force. Then, like a curtain being drawn aside, a ship appeared. It was beautiful and terrible all at once, a construct of what looked like living metal and crystalline growths, far larger than any human vessel. Its surface rippled with patterns of light that made Sarah's eyes hurt if she looked too long. This was no primitive first contact. These beings were far beyond humanity's technological level. A new message appeared on her console, this time directly from the alien vessel. "Your species plays with forces you don't understand. The harvesters must be shut down before they attract the attention of those who feed on light." Sarah's mind raced. The quantum harvesters were Earth's solution to its energy crisis, providing clean, nearly unlimited power to billions. They couldn't just shut them down. But the alien warning spoke of something worse than an energy shortage, something that fed on light itself. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen of Research Station Helios." She transmitted back. "We're willing to discuss your concerns, but these harvesters provide essential power to our civilization. We can't simply." The alien ship's response cut her off. "You have already been noticed. The quantum disturbances your harvesters create echo across space-time. They are like beacons to ancient horrors. Your species' survival depends on ending these experiments." As if to emphasize the point, more alien ships began appearing, dozens of them, forming a containment perimeter around the solar system. Humanity's first contact wasn't going to be a celebration of cosmic brotherhood. Instead, their quantum harvesters had inadvertently triggered a galactic quarantine. Sarah looked back at the harvester, its purple glow now seeming more ominous than beautiful. They had built these machines to save humanity from an energy crisis, but in doing so, had they exposed Earth to something far worse. A final message scrolled across her screen. "You have 6 Earth days to shut down all quantum harvesting operations. If you refuse, we will be forced to take action to protect the galaxy. We are not your enemies, but there are things in the dark between stars that must never be awakened. Your species is young. You don't yet understand that some powers are best left untapped." Sarah opened a channel to Earth's unified government. As she waited for the connection, she watched the alien ships taking up positions around the solar system. Humanity had reached for the stars to solve their energy needs, But in doing so, they had attracted the attention of both allies and horrors. Now they faced an impossible choice: return to their energy crisis or risk awakening something that fed on light itself. The quantum harvester continued its work, oblivious to the diplomatic crisis it had sparked. Its crystal arrays still pulsed with that ethereal purple glow, each burst sending ripples through space-time. Ripples that, according to their alien visitors, were attracting something ancient and hungry. Sarah stared at the hologram, watching as patches of space went totally dark. They had built the harvesters to solve an energy crisis, but instead had attracted ancient horrors that devoured light itself. Now humanity had to prove they could be part of the solution, or their first contact with alien life might also be their last. The quantum harvester's purple glow was visible from the chamber's windows, their crystalline arrays still drawing power from the quantum foam. Soon, they would have to choose: shut them down and face a return to energy scarcity, or leave them running and risk becoming a beacon for cosmic horrors that made even advanced alien civilizations tremble. As if sensing the weight of the moment, the chamber's lights flickered again. In the brief darkness, everyone caught a glimpse of what true darkness meant. The void between stars wasn't empty. It was hungry. And humanity had just caught its attention. Captain Zoraval of the Galactic Concordat vessel, Starweaver, had never seen anything quite like the human quantum harvesters. Through her ship's sensors, she watched the crystalline structures pulse with that distinctive purple glow, each burst sending ripples through space-time that made her inner membranes quiver. Such beautiful machines, she whispered in her native tongue, and such dangerous ignorance. Her first officer, Karin, moved his eye stalks in agreement. The humans built them without understanding, just like the precursors did before the coming of night. The bridge of the Starweaver hummed with nervous energy as they monitored the approaching darkness. Beyond their quarantine line, entire sectors of space were going dark. The void beings had noticed the humans' quantum tampering, just as the Concordat had feared. New transmission from the human facility, Karin reported. Dr. Chen requests permission to board. She claims to have a proposal. Zoraval considered this. The human scientist had shown remarkable insight during their limited communications. Unlike many of her species' leaders, she seemed to grasp the true scope of the danger. Permission granted, Zoraval decided. But full quantum containment protocols. We can't risk their harvester resonance affecting our systems. 30 minutes later, Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the Starweaver's bridge, surrounded by aliens of various species. Her environmental suit was necessary. The ship's atmosphere would have been toxic to humans, but it made her feel even more isolated. "Thank you for meeting with me," Sarah began, her words automatically translated by the ship's systems. "We've been analyzing the quantum field disturbances created by our harvesters, comparing them to your data about the void beings." She projected a hologram from her suit's systems. "There's a pattern we noticed. The resonance isn't just similar, it's identical. Too identical." Zoraval moved closer, her iridescent scales shifting colors with interest. "Explain." "We think the void beings aren't just attracted to our harvesters. They're using our quantum field disturbances to navigate, like moths following a specific frequency of light." The bridge erupted in multilingual chatter as the implications sank in. Karin's eye stalks twisted in alarm. "If you're correct, then we might be able to use that connection," Sarah finished. "Modify our harvesters to create quantum field patterns that repel rather than attract. But we'd need your help. Your understanding of the void beings far exceeds ours." Before Zoraval could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. On the main display, a massive section of space had gone completely dark. The void beings were accelerating their approach. "Multiple quantum ruptures detected," Karin announced. "They're not just approaching anymore, they're hunting." Sarah watched in horror as the darkness spread, consuming light from stars and space itself. Through the ship's advanced sensors, she could almost see them. Shapes that existed in dimensions her mind couldn't properly process, leaving absolute darkness in their wake. "Captain," she pleaded with Zeraval, "let us help. Humanity got everyone into this mess. Let us help get everyone out. We built the harvesters. We can modify them." Zeraval's scales shifted to a deep blue of contemplation. "Your species is young, Dr. Chen. You don't understand the forces you're dealing with. The void beings have hunted across galaxies for billions of years. They've consumed entire civilizations more advanced than yours. Maybe that's exactly why we have a chance," Sarah argued. "We're too young to know what's impossible, too ignorant to understand we shouldn't be able to affect beings that eat light itself." Another alarm sounded. 3 more sectors had gone dark. Sarah thought of the billions back on Earth who depended on the harvester's power. How could they explain that humanity's solution to clean energy had become a beacon for cosmic horrors? As the connection to Earth's government finally went through, she took a deep breath. The next few days would determine not just humanity's energy future, but possibly its very survival. Admiral James Morrison stood before the United Earth Council, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display of the solar system. The alien ships were marked as pulsing red dots, their containment formation now complete around Earth's orbital sphere. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "we face an unprecedented situation. 73 alien vessels have established a quarantine around our solar system. Their technology exceeds our most advanced systems by at least several centuries. And they're all here because of our quantum harvesters." The council chamber erupted in argument. The quantum harvesting program had transformed Earth's economy, ending centuries of energy scarcity. Billions depended on it. Shutting it down wasn't just difficult, it was potentially catastrophic. "What proof do they offer?" demanded Councillor Zhang. "These claims about ancient horrors that feed on light, they sound like superstition, not science." Before Morrison could respond, Dr. Sarah Chen stepped forward. She'd been brought from Helios Station to present her findings. "We've analyzed the sensor data from our quantum harvesters during the aliens' arrival. The crystals didn't just detect their ships, they resonated with them. Whatever technology they're using, it operates on similar principles to our harvesters." She gestured, and the hologram changed to show complex wave patterns. "These are the quantum field disturbances our harvesters create. And these," another pattern appeared, "are readings from ancient stellar phenomena the aliens call void marks, places where entire star systems have gone dark." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The patterns were nearly identical. "They're not acting out of malice," Sarah continued. "They're terrified, because they've seen what happens when these quantum field disturbances attract the wrong kind of attention." Morrison took over again. "We've received data packages from 3 different alien species. Each tells the same story. Civilizations that developed quantum energy technology, followed by encounters with entities that consume light itself. Entire sectors of space gone dark." "But our harvesters don't consume light," Councillor Patel objected. "They tap quantum vacuum energy. It's completely different." "To us, yes," Sarah replied. "But the quantum field disturbances they create look identical to the feeding patterns of these ancient entities. We're accidentally mimicking the signature of something that terrifies spacefaring civilizations." The council chamber's lights flickered, drawing nervous glances. Earth's power grid was already straining as they began powering down harvesters for analysis. "We have 5 days left," Morrison stated flatly. 5 days to either shut down all quantum harvesting operations or face forced intervention from a galactic community that believes we're about to attract cosmic horrors to their doorstep. "And if we refuse?" Councillor Zhang asked. "Surely we can defend." "No," Morrison cut him off. "We can't. Their ships utilize technologies we barely understand. The only reason they haven't acted already is because they're hoping to avoid violence. They see us as young and ignorant, not malicious." Sarah pulled up new data. "There might be a third option. We've been studying the resonance patterns. If we could modify our harvesters too." She was interrupted by an urgent message flashing across the chamber's main screen. The quantum harvester in the Kuiper belt had detected something. Something massive. The hologram shifted to show the outer solar system. Beyond the alien quarantine fleet, space itself seemed to be warping. Stars were dimming in a pattern that spread like ripples in a pond. "They're here," Sarah whispered. "The things the aliens warned us about. They noticed us after all." Morrison's face went pale as sensor data poured in. Whatever was approaching consumed light not just from stars, but from space itself, leaving absolute darkness in its wake. The alien fleet was already moving to intercept, their ships taking up attack formations. "Council members," he said, his voice steady despite the fear evident in his eyes, "we're out of time. Humanity just became part of a war that's been raging since before we discovered fire. And our quantum harvesters just rang the dinner bell." "Captain," Karen interjected, "the humans' theory about the quantum resonance. It matches the ancient records. The precursor's final transmissions before the first night spoke of similar patterns." Zaravel moved to the main display, watching as more stars winked out of existence. The void beings were getting closer, drawn by the quantum harvester's siren song. But if the humans were right, if their dangerous ignorance could be turned into an advantage. "Dr. Chen," she finally said, "you have 12 hours to prove your theory. If you're wrong, we'll have no choice but to destroy your harvesters ourselves. The galaxy cannot risk another coming of night." Sarah nodded, her mind already racing with calculations and modifications. Humanity had accidentally created a beacon for cosmic horrors. Now they had 12 hours to turn that beacon into a weapon, or watch their first contact with alien life become their last. Through the ship's viewport, Earth's quantum harvesters continued their purple pulse, each burst now looking less like power generation and more like a dinner bell for beings that fed on light itself. Time was running out, and darkness was hungry. Deep within Research Station Helios, Dr. Sarah Chen worked alongside alien engineers, their environmental suits creating an odd tableau against the human technology. The quantum harvester's control room buzzed with activity as they raced against encroaching darkness. "The crystal lattice won't handle that frequency," Karen warned, his eye stalks tracking multiple displays simultaneously. "It'll shatter before reaching the necessary resonance." Sarah shook her head, making adjustments to the harvester's core programming. "Earth crystals might shatter, but we're not using Earth crystals anymore. The new matrix your people provided can handle it." On the main screen, the void entity's approach was marked by an expanding sphere of darkness. Stars disappeared one by one, like lights being switched off in an advancing wave. The alien quarantine fleet had engaged the entities multiple times, but their weapons seemed to pass through the darkness without effect. "Coming up on test sequence," Sarah announced. "All personnel clear the quantum chamber." The harvester's crystal arrays had been modified with alien technology. Their familiar purple glow now shot through with colors human eyes couldn't properly process. They weren't just tapping quantum vacuum energy anymore. They were attempting to create a resonance pattern that would repel rather than attract the void beings. Test sequence initiating in 3, 2, 1. The modified harvester pulsed. Reality seemed to shiver around it as new quantum patterns rippled outward. For a moment, everything seemed to work perfectly. Then the crystal screamed. It wasn't a sound human ears could hear, but everyone felt it. The alien engineers recoiled, their various sensory organs overwhelmed by quantum feedback. Emergency systems kicked in as the harvester's power levels spiked dangerously. "Shut it down," Karen yelled. "The resonance is destabilizing." Sarah's fingers flew across the controls, but it was too late. The new crystal matrix cracked, releasing a burst of quantum energy that knocked everyone off their feet. Emergency containment fields snapped into place as alarms blared throughout the station. "Status report," Sarah called out, pulling herself up. "Crystal matrix is completely destroyed," one of the alien engineers reported. The quantum feedback was impossible. It's like something reached back through the resonance pattern. Sarah stared at the shattered remains of their modified harvester. They had tried to create a quantum pattern that would repel the void beings, but instead, something had reached through their attempts at communication and destroyed their technology. "They're intelligent," she whispered, sudden understanding dawning. "We thought they were just forces of nature, cosmic entities mindlessly consuming light. But they're conscious. They understood what we were trying to do and they stopped us." The implications hit everyone in the room. They weren't just fighting cosmic horror entities. They were dealing with ancient, intelligent beings that understood quantum mechanics better than any living civilization. New contact. The sensor operator's voice was tight with fear. Massive quantum disturbance at the edge of the solar system. Different from the void beings. It's like nothing we've ever seen. The main screen shifted to show a new anomaly, where the void beings created absolute darkness. This phenomenon seemed to bend light itself, creating patterns that hurt to look at. As they watched, a massive structure emerged from the quantum disturbance. It was a ship, but unlike anything human or alien eyes had ever seen. It seemed to be built from crystallized light itself, its surface constantly shifting and flowing. Ancient symbols glowed along its hull, symbols that matched fragments found in ruins across a dozen galaxies. By the first light, Karen breathed. "It's a precursor vessel, a real one, not just ruins or artifacts." Before anyone could respond, a transmission cut through all communication channels. The language was unlike anything their translators had ever encountered, but somehow everyone understood. "The harvesters HFY back. The long void ends. The void must be untainted once more." Sarah looked at Corinne, whose eye stalks were rigid with shock. "I thought the precursors were destroyed by the void beings." "No," Corinne replied slowly. "The ancient records. We misunderstood. They didn't die. They transcended, became beings of pure light to fight beings of pure darkness. And your harvesters, somehow you accidentally recreated their calling signal." The precursor ship moved with impossible grace, positioning itself between Earth and the approaching darkness. More quantum disturbances appeared as additional ships emerged, each one a masterpiece of crystallized light. They had thought humanity's quantum harvesters were creating a beacon for cosmic horrors. Instead, they had inadvertently summoned the ancient guardians of light itself. But as void beings and precursor ships prepared for battle, one question remained. Would humanity's solar system survive being caught between such titanic forces? The battle between light and dark unfolded across the solar system like a cosmic light show. Precursor vessels, their crystalline forms radiating impossible colors, clashed with void entities that consumed light itself. Earth's quantum harvesters stood silent, their purple glow dim compared to the energies being exchanged above. Dr. Sarah Chen watched from the Starweaver's bridge alongside Captain Zoraval, as reality itself seemed to bend and twist around the combatants. The void being's darkness fought against the precursor's light in ways that defied physics as either humans or the Galactic Concordat understood it. "Look at the quantum patterns," Sarah said suddenly, studying the sensor readings. "The precursors aren't just fighting the void beings, they're containing them, forcing them into specific configurations." Zoraval's scales shifted to a color of realization. Like a quantum coral, they're not trying to destroy the darkness. They're trying to give it form, Sarah finished. Structure. Our harvesters didn't just summon the precursors, they proved we were ready to understand. The main display showed another precursor ship emerging from quantum space, but this one was different. Instead of crystallized light, it seemed to be made of structured darkness, contained within a lattice of luminescence. "They found a way to work with the void," Sarah breathed. "Not fighting it, but shaping it, using it. That's why they transcended, not to destroy the darkness, but to learn to coexist with it." The new precursor vessel transmitted directly to the Starweaver. "The young ones understand. Their harvesters show ruidi PROMISC. Now, They must she choose. A quantum corridor opened between the Starweaver and the vessel, an invitation that bypassed all known laws of physics. Sarah looked at Zaravel, who nodded slowly. "Go," the alien captain said. "Your species' curiosity got us into this. Perhaps it will show us the way forward." The journey through the quantum corridor was beyond description. Sarah emerged onto a space that seemed to exist between light and dark, where both states coexisted in perfect harmony. The precursor that greeted her was neither a being of pure light nor pure darkness, but something that had transcended both. You viewed imitations to harvest energy. It communicated directly into her mind. But you harvested understanding instead. Your species is ready to learn the true nature of light and dark. Sarah saw it then. The quantum harvesters hadn't been a mistake. They were humanity's first stumbling steps toward a greater truth. The void beings weren't enemies to be destroyed, but a fundamental force of the universe to be understood and shaped. "We can help you contain them," she offered. "Modify our harvesters to create quantum corridors, like you do." "Better," the precursor responded. "You can help us teach them. The void learns. It evolves. It needs an ego to perspectives. Your species is PTT others miss." Understanding dawned. Humanity hadn't accidentally created a beacon for cosmic horrors. They had unknowingly developed technology that could communicate with fundamental forces of the universe itself. Their quantum harvesters weren't just power generators. They were humanity's first words in a cosmic conversation billions of years old. Back on the Starweaver, Sarah explained what she had learned. The void beings were being contained and taught, guided toward consciousness by the precursors. But the process required constant innovation, new ways of thinking. Exactly what humanity's reckless experiments had demonstrated. "Your species will need guidance," Zoraval said, her scales showing colors of both concern and hope. "The powers you're learning to work with are beyond anything the Concordat has dared to touch." "Then guide us," Sarah replied. "The precursors showed us that light and dark aren't enemies. They're two parts of a greater whole. Maybe that's true for species as well. We need your wisdom, and you need our innovation." The quantum harvesters were reactivated one by one, but with a new purpose. No longer just power generators, they became Earth's first quantum communication arrays, allowing humanity to join an ancient dialogue between light and dark, order and chaos, being and void. Humanity had reached for the stars to solve an energy crisis. Instead, they had found their place in a universe far stranger and more wonderful than they had imagined. Their quantum harvesters still pulsed with that distinctive purple glow, but now each pulse was part of something greater. A conversation between species young and old, between light and dark, between what was and what could be. The void still hungers, but now it learns. The light still burns, but now it understands. And humanity, in their beautiful ignorance, had helped forge a new path forward, proving that sometimes the greatest discoveries come not from knowing what's impossible, but from being too young to know what couldn't be done.